case was, this was a large US subsidiary of an international pharmaceutical company. And the problem that they were facing basically is that their field sales reps of the drugs that they were selling had no visibility into real-time clinical data needed for some of these sales conversations with providers, and also information about sort of the providers' prescription ratios and things like that. And so the solution was that Cleartelligence developed a web application portal wrapper to facilitate a one-stop shop where these sales reps could have access to key internal applications like SharePoint and other documentation and links that they needed for these conversations, directly alongside visual metrics-based reporting. And so you'll see two quick little sort of screenshots on the right. This is an anonymized version of our portal and of the type of reports that's provided. So this is not the actual solution delivered to the customer, but it was basically along these concepts. So you'll see in the top screenshot here, these are essentially icons that took the user to different sections of the portal. So they work just like links. You click on one, it's going to take you somewhere. So some of these took the end users to documentation links, to other internal linked applications for them. And then some of them took them directly into the reporting that we see here. Some key considerations for this use case: it needed to leverage a centralized SAML-based SSO login system. It needed to be used live in the sales conversations with the providers, like I mentioned. It needed to involve row-level security because it was limited to an individual sales rep's accounts or regions, which is a common use case, especially when there's region-based distribution of sort of sales in that capacity. And a big one here is that it needed to be optimized for use on an iPad screen size. So these were, again, field reps out having actual live conversations with providers. So they didn't have a big laptop with them, they had an iPad. So we needed to optimize both the design of the Tableau components for the iPad and also the performance and flow of the portal that we put around it. And then a big one, the thing that ended up taking a lot of our time in this project in terms of optimization, was they really had a requirement and expectation here of instantaneous performance congruent with a web application for the embedded dashboards to provide a seamless experience. And so for anyone who has tried to work with Tableau dashboards with large data sets alongside web applications, they really have different sort of initial loading expectations and things like that. So what we did to deal with this situation is we actually leveraged browser-based caching, so that essentially when the sales rep logged in initially in the application, the minute they started that login process, no matter where they were going within the application, we were grabbing the cached data, grabbing and caching in the browser, essentially within the app, the data for the dashboard, so that when they clicked on, by the time they clicked on the dashboard, it had already loaded behind the scenes. We optimized, obviously, the load itself, and it felt as if it was instantaneous, basically congruent with the other components of the application. And so this was really powerful for them, and it was a really exciting use case. It sort of crossed the boundary of an internal versus external use case. Obviously, it was being used by their internal employees, but it was being used in conversations with essentially providers who sort of represent customers in that situation. And it was made in a way that there were parts of it that they could see themselves, local for their conversations, and parts of it that they could sort of turn around and potentially show the providers if that was relevant.